Canada. Just quietly changed the global power game, friends. Thank you for being here. Let me ask you something. While the world's cameras are glued to Washington's political circus, while analysts obsess over warships in the South China Sea, what if the single most important shift in global power this century just happened quietly, silently, beneath frozen farmland in east-central Saskatchewan, because that's exactly what just occurred. And if you're still thinking this is just another mining story, you're about to miss the biggest geopolitical plot twist of the decade. Beneath the wheat fields near Tisdale, Saskatchewan, Canada has uncovered 6.8 billion tons of alumina, roughly one-third of the entire known global supply of a mineral that modern civilization cannot function without. Let that sink in. The backbone of aerospace, the foundation of electric vehicles, the skeleton of power grids, the metal of modern warfare and green energy. And it's not in China, it's not in a failed state, it's not in a volatile dictatorship. It's here, in Canada. And if you believe Canada has been underestimated for far too long, hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm and the world that Canadians are paying attention. The end of the junior partner myth. For decades, we were told a story. Canada is the polite neighbor, the quiet partner, the resource backyard of a louder, more powerful empire to the south. We watched the US slap tariffs on our steel and aluminum, calling us a national security threat. We watched supply chains move offshore. We watched our leverage erode. But that era just ended, because with the Thor Project, North American industrial security now runs through the Canadian prairies. We don't need a seat at the table anymore. We own the table. Let's be clear about what this actually is. This is not a gold rush. This is not speculative hype. The Thor deposit contains 49.5 billion tons of ore, hosting 6.8 billion tons of alumina, enough to support mining operations for over 2,000 years at industrial scale. 2,000 years. Empires rise and collapse in that time. Currencies disappear. Borders move. This resource does not. And unlike tropical bauxite mines often linked to strip mining, corruption, and instability, this alumina is embedded in polymetallic black shale, inside one of the most stable democracies on Earth. That matters. Here's what mainstream media won't say out loud. The United States is panicking. Their entire military-industrial complex, fighter jets, missiles, naval fleets, depends on aluminum alloys. Their green transition, EVs, power grids, wind turbines, depends on aluminum. And right now, China dominates aluminum refining. China controls pricing. China controls processing. China has already shown it will weaponize supply chains. The US knows this. That's why they're scrambling to friendshore critical minerals. And that's why Canada just became indispensable. Let's talk hard reality. Modern fighter jets like the F-35 rely on aluminum-scandium alloys, missile casings rely on them, naval vessels rely on them. The Thor deposit doesn't just contain alumina, it contains scandium and vanadium, the exact elements needed for high-strength aerospace alloys. In a Pacific conflict scenario, Asian supply chains collapse overnight. Rail-connected Saskatchewan doesn't. This makes Canada a guarantor of North American defense capacity. Not optional, essential. Now here's where Canada quietly outplays everyone. Aluminum is normally dirty. In China, it's smelted with coal, massive emissions, huge carbon footprint. But Thor sits near hydroelectric power capacity, over 500 megawatts of clean energy. That means green aluminum. And in a world moving toward carbon taxes, ESG mandates and clean supply audits, that's not ethics. That's pricing power. If Tesla, Apple, Boeing, or European automakers want clean aluminum, they don't go to China. They come to Canada. And they pay a premium. This isn't a remote Arctic fantasy. This is Tisdale. Rail lines, already there. Natural gas, already there. Power transmission, already there. CN and CPKC run straight through the property. That's the quiet genius of Canadian nation-building infrastructure built decades ago, now delivering 21st century leverage. No choke points, no ocean shipping risks, no hostile waters, just steel rails across stable land. Let's talk numbers. A projected after-tax IRR of 72%, that's unheard of. This isn't oil volatile, politicized, carbon-stained. This is a foundational material for civilization. Saskatchewan could become to aluminum what Alberta once was to oil without the same stigma or instability. Royalties fund hospitals. Taxes secure pensions. Jobs stay here. But more importantly, leverage stays here. Now pause. This is where Canadians must stay alert. Thor is still at the resource stage, not reserves. Processing black shale at scale must be proven. CapEx is massive, over $6 billion USD, and Canadian Energy Metals is a junior company. They will need a partner.
So here's the critical question, and I want you to answer it in the comments. Do you trust our leaders to protect this asset from hostile foreign takeovers?
Because this is no longer a free market question, this is a national security question. We cannot allow this to be neutralized by foreign state-owned enterprises. We cannot allow it to be shelved to protect foreign monopolies. This requires a Canada-first investment review. And now timing. USMCA comes up for mandatory review in 2026. Historically, Canada walks into these negotiations on defense. Not anymore. Because when American negotiators sit down, they won't just see a neighbor. They'll see the only secure solution to their critical mineral crisis. You can't threaten to tear up a trade deal when that deal guarantees your industrial survival. Thor becomes a diplomatic shield, protecting our dairy system, our culture, our policy independence. Let's make this personal. How many young Canadians left not because they wanted to, but because they were told opportunity only existed elsewhere? Thor changes that story. This isn't low-skill extraction. This is advanced metallurgy, AI-driven processing, chemical engineering at the frontier. The innovation hub isn't Silicon Valley, it's Saskatchewan. And that matters. Canada doesn't shout. We don't invade. We don't bully. We build. We stabilize. We endure. The Thor discovery validates the Canadian model. In a chaotic world, boring is power. Contracts honored, supply lines secure, rules respected, and when the world needs the building blocks of the future, they come to us. So the next time you hear about tariffs, trade wars, or geopolitical panic, remember Tisdale. Because beneath those wheat fields lies the future, and in the game of nations, those who control the resources control the century. If you want serious analysis, not fluff hits, subscribe. If you care about Canadian sovereignty, share this video, and most importantly, stay vigilant, because this treasure must build the Canada we know is possible. Thank you, friends.